Pigweed here. Today we review a blonde ale and ask what sorts of mitigating factors can excuse crime.
Hey!
All right.
Good evening, Pigweed.
Good evening,
How about some beer and conversation?
That's an excellent idea. What are we drinking?
So this is a blood orange blonde ale.
Delicious.
Yeah, from
Can't wait.
Molly's
All
down
right,
the road.
that's
All
pretty
right.
good.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you got on your mind?
Son of Sam.
Yeah.
So, it's the Son of Sam. David Berkowitz shot a bunch of people in the 70s. Very good. The Summer of Sam is a great movie by old Spike Lee. But underlying that, what we've all known as a fact is that this whole Son of Sam business is that he was such a crazy person that his neighbor's dog named Sam told him to commit these murders.
Sure, yeah.
And that was the basis of the defense. And it's basically one of those things that, everybody knows that until you look into it, and that was totally thrown out at court. But but everybody knows he's still, even today, Son of Sam, the dog, the crazy guy, but
Just add it to the list of things everybody knows that aren't so.
Everybody knows that's going to be a show real soon. Okay, what is this?
So this is a blood orange
smells
blonde.
funny.
I would call it a strawberry blonde, personally.
I think you're
in terms of color, but
yes.
it's got a lot of orange.
But it's no joke in terms of the orange, at least on the nose. A
lot of blood orange color going on in there. And it's from Molly's, our friends down in Prince Frederick down the road here.
And I'll tell you what, it smells orangey. It tastes orangey, but not in like that somebody poured a scoop of Tang into your beer. Because sometimes you get that. They say it's fruity.
And you get it chemically.
Yes, and it tastes like you're drinking a beer while chewing a juicy fruit.
Right. And this is not that.
No, it's good.
It's very good. It has
the orange is solid.
It's solid orange flavor, and it actually tastes like orange. It doesn't, as you said, doesn't taste chemically, and it comes down pretty good. It's the kind of thing that you want to drink summertime around the pool.
Yes, it's got a very, very summer vibe. And what are we coming in ABV?
5.2.
All right.
That's lovely summertime beer. Yeah, so Molly's, keep sending them up here. We love it.
All right. So how do you want to do this? You want to talk about... Let me set up the reasons for incarceration.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about insanity defense and with a little bit of history.
Okay, yeah.
So, somebody commits a crime, and there's a judicial guidelines, which are a good idea. Otherwise, the judge just can't go willy-nilly, whatever he wants. It's 15 to 25. But in that 15 to 25, when you stick somebody in jail, it's a combination of punishment, because you've been bad, and protecting the public. We need to make you need to think about what you've done and give somebody, let us all know that you're not out there doing the thing that you've been sent to do.
There's also this somewhat crazy notion of reform.
Well, yes. Well, hopefully,
as if prison really reforms anybody, but there is that idea that gets thrown in there as well.
Yes, hopefully, that there's more than just sitting around feeling bad for yourself. And they'll give talk about how you got there and what your options can be. So yes, we definitely want reform in there. But then there is what if you're not even entirely responsible for the crime that you've committed?
Yeah, and that question of responsibility gets us into the whole free will question. Like, who is truly responsible for what they do? What does that even mean to be responsible for what they do? And what do you mean when you say this person's responsible, this person's not responsible?
I was in a rage. I couldn't control my anger. So what?
So in other words, for the earlier part of your life, you never learned to control your anger. And now you couldn't control it, and somehow that's a mitigating factor. How's that a mitigating factor?
Yes, it might be the opposite.
Yeah.
But let's how about the history of the insanity defense?
Yeah.
Okay.
We got this guy McNaughton or something. McNaughton.
Yeah, it's a funny name.
Yes, in England, is that right?
Yes. This is the legal concept was born in England in 1843, and he attempted to assassinate the British Prime Minister, who he believed was conspiring against him.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's that sort of paranoia and kind of a, the guy doesn't know you from anybody.
Right.
And yes, so then that's, according to this article here in Psychology Today, that is the first sort of not really responsible because...
Yeah, well, I know people who have conspired against me. I didn't go kill them.
So due to his psychosis, the court acquitted him, and thus established Mr. McNaughton Rule.
But acquitted, does that mean he just went free?
Well, let me find out here.
Because
not really.
It's one thing to say they did go free.
It requires that a defendant to be found not guilty of an offense if, at the time it occurred, his mental disorder was so grave as to, 1, interfere with his ability to know or understand the nature or quality of his criminal behavior, and 2, to have compromised the defendant's ability to know or understand the legal or moral wrongfulness of his behavior. This two-pronged rule became the legal standard for an insanity defense in the United States as well.
So you've got this person who doesn't understand that something is bad, and they're not able to distinguish good from bad, and so that's
understand the legal or moral wrongfulness of his behavior. So
and that somehow excuses them. That's the thing that doesn't make any sense to me.
This is kind of what I'm getting at here. Yes, you're exactly right. Does that mean? So back to the other thing is like all right. So let's just say the reasons for incarceration.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you how about if I do this? I'll give you a pass on the responsibility part, but the protection of the public part is 100%.
Yes.
In fact, it's 150%.
Yeah. So you go into an interview with somebody, and you're sitting down there and you're talking to them, and you realize after the course of chatting with them for an hour that this person has absolutely no sense of right and wrong. They have no sense of like they don't care about the law. They don't care about morality. They don't care. They'd be just perfectly happy to go out and commit some horrible crime. And therefore you're going to say, oh, I see. Well, you're free to go.
Yeah. Well, hey, he can't help himself. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
Seems like the opposite of what you want to do.
Yeah. No, this mitigating factor thing is a little nuts. I would say. Now, so then we've got this. Speaking of killing prime ministers, how about trying to kill presidents?
Yeah.
Well, actually, no. He successfully killed the president.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So this is Garfield, July 2nd, 1881. Because what was. Oh, he said...
There was a great show about him a little while ago we watched on Netflix.
It was highly recommended to me, and I did not see. So,
it was very good.
So was Mr.
Guteau? He was a nut, yeah.
And was he an anarchist? Isn't that...
I'm not sure if he was an anarchist.
That tends to be a theme.
I know, yeah.
Also, so he gave the jurors examples of his bizarreness, interrupting and constantly insulting the defense team in court. He sang and recited poems, and he solicited legal advice from courtroom strangers.
Sounds like Klinger on MASH. He's just like, trying to demonstrate that he's crazy.
Dress,
right.
So that was another case.
So if the point of the insanity defense is to say, should this person go into jail or should this person go into a psychiatric ward?
Yeah.
I get that.
Yes.
Okay. If you're going to say, okay, this is a person who knew what they were doing and decided to do the wrong thing, that person goes to jail.
Yeah.
Some other person isn't even capable, because of their impairment, of understanding that it was wrong to kill this person and eat them, right?
Yeah.
That person doesn't belong in jail. That person belongs in a psychiatric ward under heavy medication.
It's a psychiatric jail.
Yeah.
But, however, with that, it's often the case that, until he gets better.
Right.
Now, what I would say is, when he gets better, then he goes to big boy jail. He doesn't go home. Hey, what about John Hinckley? Did he eventually go home?
I don't think so. I think he's still in jail. I'm not sure.
I know he had. I know.
It's been back and forth.
He got to the point where he had sort of weakened his parents.
Yeah.
And does seem like
A reformed person, yeah.
but
Because he was certainly crazy back.
But certainly a crazy person. Now, you mentioned the drugs. If you can get the person to recognize the difference between right and wrong and whatever through drugs, well, you can't just release him in the hopes that he continues to take the drugs. It's like, well, he seems fine now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, all right, well, then I think he'll be fine.
Was it the drugs that fixed him or what? I mean...
let's just say the drugs fixed him, and you're just going to trust him to go out into the world and continue to take his drugs? Because they tend not to like that.
Yeah, that's true.
So, unless...
Because a lot of those drugs make you feel kind of foggy and...
Right, yeah. So if the only way to control the guy is drugs, and the only way to make sure he has the drugs is to continue to monitor him...
Yeah.
Well, then that's all you're going to
get. Well, nowadays they could probably just put a little thing on his arm and like send signals up to the cloud whether he's got
and whether or not. Well, I mean, this chemical imbalance thing.
Oh,
if there was in fact if you could do just what you're saying, and there's a measurable way to say, well, once his so and so has spiked to a certain level, he becomes a crazy person. We need to bring him in. It's not that simple.
Yeah, well, but that's the next step, of course. Is they're just gonna, when kids are born, they're gonna stick a little monitor on their ankle.
Yeah.
That's gonna measure their blood chemistry, and once certain thing gets above a certain level, they'll just pull them in.
This blood chemistry thing is a hoax. So mitigating circumstances.
Right.
All right. So with this 15 to 25 range. They come in there, and you're always going to get the sob story.
Yeah.
And I don't doubt the veracity of these sob stories.
Sure.
And you say to yourself, of course the kid's a wreck.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the environment that he grew up in.
Yeah.
And so whether or not he's responsible and whether or not conditions contributed to his behavior are kind of two different questions.
Yes.
So, did the conditions contribute to this terrible behavior? I would say in many cases, when the defense is going up there and saying guilty, however, when looking at this 15 to 25, really it should be really at 15 because...
So, take the example of some guy who is just being tortured on a daily basis by his boss, his spouse, his neighbor, his whatever it is. And one day he snaps and does something horrible, right?
But he wasn't actually tortured.
And not actually tortured, but badgered, abused.
Belittled.
Yeah, all this kind of stuff. And one day he snaps. And the defense is, well, look, he's not going around killing anybody. He's only killing people who incessantly badger him and belittle him and all this other kind of stuff.
Yes. So in that range of protecting the public and punishing the person.
Yeah.
Right. The guy who is now living in a van down by the river because his bitch wife has taken everything, lost his job, lost his house, lost his kids.
Yeah.
He snaps, kills her. I don't think the public at large
is at that much risk.
Risk. But obviously he needs to be punished.
He still needs to go to jail because he killed somebody.
Right, and then the other guy who is a public menace, who assaults without provocation.
Just because you have people who are criminally insane. They're just people who have no regard for other people's safety or their feelings or anything, and they just go around and assault people because they get their jollies out of it, or because they think they're going to get $5 out of it.
But this guy, the extent of his individual crimes isn't such that he should get a long prison sentence. This comes down to the threat to the public, so he weighs in on that far end.
Yeah.
Remember what happened to 3 strikes and you're out? That went by the wayside.
Seems to have.
In France, in the 50s, I can explain why, but why I know this, but not important. There was like a incorrigible.
Yeah.
It's like yes, the sum total
Yeah.
of the petty crimes, petty crime, theft, burglary, prostitution, individually, it's not that bad, but you are clearly
You've never learned your lesson.
ever.
Yeah.
And so now we're going to give
You have no respect for the law.
You
Right.
now have a 50-year sentence.
Yes.
Even though nothing you did was all that bad. It's just that you have shown. We don't have anything like that. The three strikes and you're out thing caught a little bit of, in the Clinton era.
Yeah.
And then they said, all right, that's not quite fair.
Yeah.
But I kind of I kind of dig the idea of the recognition that you are never ever going to be
You've demonstrated to
Yes.
us that you don't care about the law. You're never going to learn any lessons. You're just going to continue to violate the law. Why should we allow you out in society?
And you see examples all the time of the guy who kills somebody with 42 arrests,
Right.
with 37 arrests, with 65 arrests, and they're like calling for the heads of the.
So the most recent example is that one that we just had with the guy who killed Irina Zarutska.
Charlotte.
And Charlotte. She was on the train, and this guy had some ridiculous number of
52 arrests or whatever.
And the question is, why in the world was he still on the street if he had all these things? And then the worst part of it
Because is the judge like treating the thing individually? I mean, aren't you supposed to look at the complete sum? Yes, this minor assault is like a 6-month thing that you're going to plead down, and it'll be 1 month or whatever. But don't you look at the fact that he's been there 42 times?
Yeah. So in this case, the judge ruled that DeCarlos Brown Jr., the suspect, was mentally incompetent to stand trial. It wasn't the insanity defense necessarily. They were saying he was mentally incompetent to stand trial. So why was he mentally competent to stand trial for the 42 other cases?
So nobody else had identified.
Yeah, and then suddenly he's mentally incompetent to stand trial. But
it could go either. Sorry, it could go either way. In both ways are terrible.
Yeah.
Either the judges have just been passing him off, knowing that he's crazy.
Yeah.
Or that So it sounds like he's a crazy guy who is living on the streets because why? Nobody in his family wants anything to do with him.
Right.
Nobody's going to hire him.
Yeah.
So what do you do with a person that is whose family and friends have had enough of them,
Yeah.
and who is unfit to work?
Just think about how bad.
What else could he do?
Think about how bad you would have to be for your family.
Yes,
to say
I've had enough.
That's it. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think about that all the time. When you're pulling up to a light and there's some god awful looking, fortunately like a 25-year-old. You know what I mean? I see an old bum and I think, well, maybe he's had a pretty good life and fell on hard times.
Yeah.
Then you see somebody who's 25, like, dude, you're giving up already.
Yeah.
So I see I see this guy and I go, one of two things: his family and friends are all pieces of crap who won't help him out, or this guy has burned all his bridges already.
Yeah, it's hard to know which, but it's more likely
I'm leaning towards the bridge burning.
Leaning toward the latter, yeah. So let me give you some other cases here of the insanity defense. Now, I don't know if we mentioned this, but the insanity case is only used in about 1% of cases and only succeeds in about 25% of the cases where it's used. So it's very rare.
I know. I know, but there's probably a disproportionate amount of outrage about the insanity defense, thinking anybody can just say, I was cuckoo, and they get off and go home.
No, it doesn't work that way.
Really,
It doesn't work that way. So Austin Haroof, a 19-year-old Florida State University student with no criminal record, randomly attacked a couple, killing them, and then eating them.
He was a Florida State student?
Yeah. And he had these statements about he was half man, half dog.
Oh, boy.
Now, what happened here was that both sides, the prosecutor and the defense, agreed that this guy was nuts. Okay?
Okay.
So the mental health experts for both the defense and the prosecution concluded that he was severely delusional, had major psychotic episodes, and then he was committed to a secure state psychiatric facility indefinitely.
All right. Well, how I'd like to talk to the Florida State, the Florida State University
Recruiting office?
Recruiting office.
How did you not know this guy had problems with lycanthropy? All right, so here's another one. Sana Kise brutally stabbed a stranger on the sidewalk in Seattle following a delusion involving a stolen phone charging cord.
Oh boy, that's enough to kill a man.
Yeah, exactly. So, there's a lot of these cases where people are clearly nuts and they do some horrible thing, and the prosecution and the defense both agree this person is crazy.
So are we just discussing whether or not he goes to regular prison or mental health prison?
Exactly. And if that's the decision, I'm all for it.
All right. Here, this is. All right, do you have some more examples?
I have a bunch of them, but I'm not sure we need to read them. It's the same kind of stuff. Yeah.
All right. So this is kind of what's inspired the thinking itself is this decision between those two things. Mm-hmm. Like, it seems to imply that we're going to take death penalty off the table if it goes to this one rather than that one. And I'm going. I'm not sure that's necessary.
Yeah.
In the sense of not responsible, therefore no death penalty. How about not fit to be amongst the living?
Let's take a slight detour and think of, Elon Musk is building these robots, okay?
Yeah.
And one of the things that they're trying to do with AI, which we had a previous episode about moral AI, and you should watch that episode. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to get AI and robots to act in a moral way.
Okay.
So let's say there's this fleet of robots that start doing various tasks, mowing your lawn, cooking your dinner, or whatever it is.
Everything's going fine?
But some of them end up doing crazy things. They kill your dog. They, whatever they do. They do horrible things. And then we find out that there's some flaw in their programming that makes them that way.
Yep.
Okay? Now, don't you just scrap that robot?
Just put them down.
Yeah. I mean, don't you just say, okay,
that didn't work.
This one is not. We can't. Now, maybe you could reinstall the software or something like that. But anyway, so
which is much more likely in
a robot than it is with a human. So we have to come to grips with the fact that there are some humans who are just no damn good.
That in terms of some sort of levels of schizophrenia, what's called this, the brain shocking?
Oh, thing electrotherapy, yeah, electroshock.
They're still doing that.
I know.
It seems. Yeah. I thought that went away with the lobotomy. But it is kind of a software reset. This show I watched, the guy. He's been in a mental hospital most of his life, and he's old, and he feels better
after the yeah. Okay,
that's nuts.
Yeah,
but I mean that is a software reset analogy, I guess.
Yeah. Now here's another example where the mental illness defense didn't work, and this is James Holmes. Did the 2012 Aurora, Colorado theater shooting. Yeah.
The Batman movie.
Yeah, the psychiatrists agreed that Holmes was severely schizophrenic. But the prosecutor said, well, wait a minute. He had meticulous planning. He bought body armor.
Okay.
He rigged his apartment with explosives. He timed the attack. He knew what he was doing, and he knew that it was wrong. So he did have a mental illness.
Oh, I see. But so two things can be true.
Yes, at the same time.
Without being mitigating.
Yes, you can be crazy, but
no,
you did actually plan this thing.
It does seem like that is not just being crazy, but not knowing.
Yeah.
Not understanding.
Not understanding that it's wrong.
Right from wrong. Yeah, that is the tipping point. That's where you get into that.
Yeah, and everybody's had a situation where you did something and you found out that it was uncouth or the wrong thing to do in that situation, and you didn't know, right? And people forgive you for that because you didn't know that the rule was that you eat with your fork in this hand or whatever the heck the rule is. You didn't know, so people forgive you for that. Okay, that's fine. But when that unknowing gets to the point of like killing people or eating people or something like that, that betrays a different level of dysfunction.
Absolutely. And so this is, who knows what that level of mental illness comes from. People tend to throw around this term brain chemistry, like they know what it means. But what does that mean? This level is, do you know what level? Can you blood test somebody or whatever? But how about in a more physiological way?
Yeah.
The underdeveloped frontal lobe. So I'm watching this guy, super handsome and charming, tall, girls fawning all over him. He's in prison getting, so much support. He didn't
Isn't it
really
amazing?
do it.
Isn't it amazing?
Unbelievable.
All these criminals who get letters from women.
But it turns out that this guy, his name is Wade Wilson, which is Deadpool.
Okay.
Which is just by chance.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So he's an evil villain. He gets his face tattooed in a Joker grin before trial, which seems like a bad move.
It does seem like a bad move. Usually you're supposed to dress up and shave.
Right. Here he is in a suit with this, actually very well done. I don't know how prison tattoos can be so well done.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's probably a constitutional right to
yes, it is. Wade Wilson. So then you've got the psychiatrist at the end, who has already been on the stand 200 times, always for the defense, and always with the same defense.
Okay.
But here it is. Well, given his life growing up and whatever, and he was adopted, and find out he was adopted till he was 13 or whatever. Psychologists said he had an underdeveloped, hyperactive, or structurally impaired frontal lobe. Likely contributed to Wade's behavior by reducing impulse control, emotional regulation, and decision-making, making him more prone to reactive aggression, poor foresight, and difficulty learning from consequences. Wouldn't you say that that's like the majority of people in prison probably have some combination of reduced impulse control, reduced emotional regulation?
That's why they're in prison.
Because they didn't anticipate.
Yes.
Because they're like, I want that thing now. And thinking into the future is not part of how their brain works. So they framed it as a result of personality traits, trauma, substance abuse, blah, 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 blah. So I'm saying this is your sort of mitigating argument, just like the insanity defense. So what you're saying is his brain is structurally designed towards criminality.
Yeah.
And that's mitigating?
But
that makes him less, maybe it makes him less responsible, but it doesn't make him more likely, that we should be more likely to allow him back in society.
Yeah, okay, so I have two reactions to that. The first reaction is there are a lot of situations where people seem to be off, right? The family and the neighbors and everything think one of these days, this guy is going to do a horrible thing.
They come and do the interviews later and they're like, yeah, Jimmy was
okay. That's, in retrospect, people will say that. But is it predictive?
Right.
Can you say, everybody is saying, this guy is a bad egg. Sooner or later, he's going to blow up something, Okay, what percentage of the people that get that diagnosis from their friends and family actually go on to do those things?
Exactly. Well, exactly. The thing is, when they say there were signs, everybody's going, well, yeah, there were signs. What are you going to do? Arrest everybody who seems like they're very likely to commit a crime?
Yes, because I know all kinds of people that I would say, I don't know what's going to happen with this person. And what are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
You can't arrest them before they do. You can't have pre-crime.
Well, yes. Well, let's talk about the Minority Report. What if they did come up with a structurally impaired frontal lobe scan, and they're like, and then they correlate that to likelihood of crime.
Yeah.
And they're like, look, 82% of people with this shaped frontal lobe end up as criminals. Still, what are you going to do? Just start pre-arresting?
Yeah. I will bet you that the janitor at the church who's cleaning the bathrooms and doing all this stuff, I'll bet you some of them have this prefrontal lobe issue, but
they also got a sense of right and wrong.
They also got a sense of right and wrong, and they're doing okay, and everything's fine.
Maybe they're a little impulsive. Maybe they get mad a little too.
And the pastor steps them, pushes them aside, and says, "Joe, come on."
People leaving paper towels on the ground
makes you mad.
Makes you mad.
Yeah, and then Joe goes, "We talked about this." Yes. So, the thing is, just because somebody has this thing, maybe it predisposes them. Maybe it's highly correlated.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's a given that you have this prefrontal lobe thing and therefore you're going to be
But it also is not very mitigating.
Yes.
At least in terms of not that means that your sentence should be shorter. Your sentence should be longer because you're clearly not redeemable.
Yeah.
And
if that's true, if it's true that this causes that, if it's true that the smaller frontal lobe causes antisocial criminal behavior, then that means, okay, everybody with that condition should just be in jail. if it actually causes it, which I'm disputing, but if it does.
But I'm just saying the guy who's already been convicted of the thing.
Yeah.
The argument by this psychologist, to me, works backwards.
Yeah.
It's like, doesn't make him, okay, I'll give you less responsible. Like what I was saying.
In some cosmic sense that we don't understand.
Weighing the sense of punishment versus protection. Okay, so punishment-wise, maybe we'll drop it down a little bit because he's not that responsible. But protecting the public-wise, you're at 100%.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm just saying the mitigating circumstances is the idea that mitigating circumstances means you should be given a second chance.
I'm not much sure.
I'm not sure. No, I'm saying maybe the opposite. Maybe you actually...
Maybe it's the other way around.
You need to be in prison more than the person who actually did... The mitigating circumstances in terms of having a rough childhood, all right, that's a break. Something's wrong with your brain, you need drugs not to be crazy, and the bad frontal lobe, these two are uncorrectable.
Okay, so I got 3 questions for you.
Okay.
All right. Somebody comes in, they committed this horrible crime. Everybody admits they committed a horrible crime. Everybody admits the guy's crazy. Okay. Is it legit, in that case, to make a distinction between mental prison, real prison?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. We're right. I agree with you on that. All right. Now, somebody is so mentally impaired that, or whatever it is, they're so psychotic, they're so out of it that they can't tell right from wrong. They don't even understand the concept of right from wrong. Does that excuse them of a crime? Even with heavy
dosing.
Right, exactly. They just don't get the concept of right and wrong.
This is where it flips the script.
Yes.
I'm saying, fast track to, putting them down like a rabid dog.
Yes, I agree. So, the fact that you can't tell right from wrong shows that we don't want you around. Yeah. All right.
We don't want you around. We don't want you around patients, other prisoners, nurses, nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's another thing people forget is that the prison guards and the nurses, they have rights too. Yeah. Okay, here's the last question. If somebody is incorrigible, they just show repeatedly they have no respect for the law. They have no respect for right and wrong. They're just, and maybe it's just minor crimes, but they do it again and again and again and again. They've been arrested 40 times. Okay, should they be sent to the equivalent of Australia?
I know. Are there any islands left?
Mars, I think. I think maybe Mars.
But yes, you're just like, you know what? You actually have a reasonably high IQ. And you don't have any insanity.
But you
have demonstrated that you will never participate in proper...
Even if you haven't committed some big, serious crime.
Yeah, that's why I said, we're just going to have to call you the incorrigible. And incorrigible is...
Incorrigible is gone.
Until you're 75.
Yeah, you go to regular prison or Mars or Australia or whatever it is.
Their crimes aren't very serious. You're just
done.
Oh.
Yeah. All right, there we go.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks so much for listening. Be sure to like this video and share it with your friends.